right? I agree. It's easy to reconcile. If you say that you're going to pick a black woman as your vice president or as a Supreme Court justice.
By the way, nothing she said here lines up with anything. Okay? Just FYI, if you're so excited, if you're so excited for a black woman to be president, okay? If you're so excited, why did you vote for Trump then? Fuck me, dude. You were excited for Kamala to be president, but you voted Trump? Are you sure you didn't make up in your mind like false memories that like you actually like that somehow you liked Kamala for some reason? And maybe you blacked out when you voted for Trump? Like, hello? Fuck me, dude. Hold on. I'll be right back. Would it be weird if your landlord's in your chat? Yes, but I would bring him on for a debate anyway if he ever were to discover me, okay? Hold on. Hey, you guys want to take a look at this pretty picture? Look how pretty that picture is. I'll be right back, okay? I promise. Me in the meanwhile, you guys should donate money. I like money. Be right back.
Just a drink. A martini, shaken, not stirred.
Lil Sis always telling me what to do SMH.
You want to be let out of here, you're welcome to go. Now wait a minute, now wait a minute.
Ari, thank you so much for the 10 Australian, okay? Thank you so much. Thank you. Lil Sis always telling me what to do. What? How? Where? What are you talking about? Where? Hello. All right. Okay. All right. Where do we go? Oh my god. Okay. We gotta get to the bottom of why she voted for Trump. Okay. Let's go. Or sorry, we know why she voted for Trump.
There are probably dozens or hundreds, maybe thousands, depending on the field, right? Maybe more,
Yeah.
who have the resume. I mean, Ketanji Brown Jackson has the best resume in terms of like her work experience than any of the Supreme Court justices, from Alito to Thomas to Amy Coney Barrett, certainly superior to any of the Trump nominees. And she also happens to be a black female. So I agree, it's easy to reconcile. But I guess Piso was curious, like, I think the crux of his question was, okay, well, if you were concerned about, you know, this emphasis on equity, how did that manifest in the Democratic Party's policies such that you were driven away from voting for them and voting for the Republicans?
Where previously you voted for them, right? So like the heyday of this kind of, it feels like the high watermark.
But I was
of this
bought
ideology
into
was
that.
right.
Because my
right.
I've had a sincere ideological shift. That's
I think Kamala's campaign was too milquetoast. You know what I think? I think Kamala's campaign was too based. Okay, it was too based for anyone in the current moment to even recognize how based it was. Okay, that's why.
that's what I'm. That's what I'm trying to express. Really,
as I'm understanding, like You might agree with my characterization, perhaps, that the high water mark was pre-2020 election, but you feel like you were in that and you were a supporter of it, and hence the movement away from that afterwards. So in retrospect, it's not a contradiction for you because you changed your mind and now you don't have this view of the equity or forced diversity or whatever. Do you feel like the Zionism aspect of it like led you to question it, like what you were seeing with your protester friends, that was causing you to re-examine stuff? When did this come, or was it like you mentioned, going and listening to a bunch of podcasts and hearing this message? Do you track it like that, or is it you're not sure of the causality?
So again, I track it in the beginning as like starting to listen to podcasts, and even that was really slow because like the Blocked and Reported podcast is the one that I was mentioning before with Jesse Singal and Katie Herzog. Are any of you guys familiar with that podcast?
Yes, I am.
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
Not
Okay.
really.
No,
Well,
I've never even
I know
heard of it.
Jesse Singal pisses off a lot of
Oh,
people.
I know Jesse
about
Singal.
They do a lot
Yeah, I
of
know
a lot of
Jesse
trans
Singal, yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
If you're listening to Jesse Singal, you're not being entirely honest here. Are you? Are you? I think that there's a part of the story that is missing. If you're listening to Jesse Singal, I don't think it's just Israel. I think it's also trans issues. That's what I think. Okay? Maybe this is just my schizoaffective disorder coming out. Maybe this is just me being a little bit more schizo than normal, okay? I'm just saying, if you listen to Jesse Singal.
Okay, and I was listening to a ton, just like going through the
Yeah.
archives of the Intelligence Squared debates. So I went through like a bunch of their British debates, and then I found out that they have, Intelligence Squared in the US, which is now called Open to Debate. They're still going, and I still subscribe to that. And so that was like transformative for me in many ways, because what I felt when I was exposing myself to some of these debates was that I had never really heard the best faith arguments from the other side on many of these things. And some of these things were ideas that I had held closely, and others were things that I hadn't thought much about, but were taboo in some way. And it just came away feeling like I don't need, like I
This weapon's so hard to use.
need to think more deeply about a lot of these things, basically. And so it's like I got rid of my presets to a certain extent. And so I don't automatically.
You were used to criticisms that sounded like, oh, they just hate trans people because they're bigots or whatever. They are, like they do. Donald Trump.
Yeah, they're obsessed with people's genitals.
Then you heard these different takes that
Absolutely.
explained it in a different way, and it got you to question, like, wait a second, I used to think that, and that kind of like, yeah, I can kind of see where the wheels are turning here. Makes sense. Like, what are
I'm never wrong. I was correct. Yeah, the other side is trans people. So it's trans people in Israel. It's trans people in Israel. Yep, I was right. When was the last time I was wrong about something like this? Seriously. When was the last time? I'm a genius. Okay, what can I say? Oh my gosh. There's only so much I can glaze about myself, okay, without it being cringe. It's already cringe, okay? But oh my god. Oh, I'm just correct all the time.
what are some of the examples of
There's a super can I just real quick, there's a super chat directed at Tally from Doobie. It says, why does it matter which party or president would be, quote, better for Israel? Shouldn't we be voting for a president or party that is better for Americans?
True.
Yeah, so
she said that. She said the
if you were
opposite, that she
listening,
didn't vote for
Doobie, I
Israel.
said the exact
Shaken,
opposite.
not
Yeah.
stirred.
I know you people are there. Finger that like button.
True. Thank you so much for the $10, Zach. That's extremely kind of you, mate. Thank you so much. True. Okay, you should fat finger that fucking like button. Okay, I think that's what you should do. Yeah, that's very true. Okay. In addition, keep in mind, if you want to support me, if you want to help me out, okay, be like Zach, be like Ari, okay, be like like Bucko, okay, be like these base people who have donated tonight, okay. Somehow, for some reason, again, I don't know why, my audience really likes donating in spurts of $10 specifically, okay? Or close to $10 at the very least. I don't know why this is the case. I don't know why you guys do this, but it is funny, okay? It is a good trend. Keep it up, okay? It's better than a bunch of $5 donos. It's better than a bunch of 20. Give me $20 donuts, actually.
That
Thank
I
you.
don't
I
think.
appreciate
Well,
it.
first, maybe I didn't make it explicit that I don't think Americans should be voting based on
No,
Israel,
Doobie is
but
a
I
moron.
did
Also,
make it
Doobie is a
explicit that was
neo-Nazi.
never what
Okay,
my
so I
vote
don't
was
even.
about.
Whatever,
Got it.
man. It's-
So go ahead, Hutch.
What are
It's
so?
not
Give me an
about
example,
water.
because I think we're still trying to get a handle on like the shift to like what it looks like. So like, I know there are certain things that really trigger the fuck out of me. Like chat can stun lock me with a few different takes. Like any kind of like saying that Bernie was like robbed of the nomination in 2016. I'll fucking rant for like 2 hours on this, and I'll argue with chat or whatever. So like, what are the current takes you hear from the left that trigger the fuck out of you?
Sponsored by Big Water.
You sounded pretty triggered when you came into the WIC panel, like for example. So like, I can't remember what we were talking about. But, like,
Oh,
that's
You sounded
yeah,
triggered?
not triggered, but like,
So the one
You're right,
about
Hutch. I
violence
was
on during
triggered as
protests.
hell.
Yeah.
Typical male feminist sexist language.
Yeah.
No, I didn't mean.
was-
I didn't mean. I get triggered. I mean, like it got you like upset. or
I
whatever.
was hysterical, histrionic. Yes.
I wondered if you were. No, never mind. I'm sorry.
Through a
No,
tampon.
so yeah, I mean, Charlie and the other gentleman whose name I forget were advocating for political violence, basically. So yes, I resent that tremendously, and this is an issue, obviously, not just on the left.
Thank
You
you,
know,
Pisco. Is Pisco single? If he's single, then 100% he's trying to get into her pants, okay? Because think about it, Pisco is like friends with Straight Raid, and he's been on an anti-Ethan Klein bend lately, okay? If he is pro-Palestine now, he's got to do a lot more to show it, okay? Unless he was trying to get into someone's pants. Well, I mean, good luck, I guess.
I actually think if
Now he's
anything, this
married?
needs to be more.
Yeah, I'm just saying, okay? When was the last time anyone let being married stop them?
The domain of the right that seems to
Callie is a lesbian and married. You mean a straight person in denial?
be increasing on the left, and that's very concerning to me. But yeah, like people saying that, you know, we can replace property, but we can't replace people. Well, are you
Post-marriage
going to
law.
replace that person's property? Are you gonna fix up that business? Are you going to employ all those people who are impacted? So that type of rhetoric angers me and triggers me. Not I guess not doesn't make me cringe so much. The stuff that makes me cringe is like America is a white supremacist nation.
I mean, I don't. So I let.
You know what? I too am mentally retarded, Tally. Okay, Tally? I too am incredibly mentally retarded. Okay, good job. Okay, it's just I can't. This is this is so stupid. I don't even know why I'm watching this. Fuck me, dude. Oh my god, get me out.
Let's just. I feel like we're kind of none of this. I think one of the issues I have and we've heard this. I don't know. I've just heard this from a lot of people who decided not to vote for Democrats or vote for Trump or sit it out or whatever, is this kind of like, you know, vague gesture towards a lot of
Wishy-washy.
culture war issues. Like, oh, I had a lot of changes of opinion.
Yep.
I think the equity stuff is cringe. I had
wishy-washy.
bad experiences with activist spaces. Like, this is an entirely ordinary story for why
wishy-washy.
people turn their back on the
Wishy-washy.
Democratic Party. The big problem that I see in that from hearing that from so many people
Wishy-washy.
is that
Wishy-washy.
isn't to even like a close
Yep,
degree,
it's
I think,
wishy-washy.
representative of the actually
Wishy-washy.
existing Democratic
Wishy-washy.
Party. Do you see
Very
some people in the
wishy-washy.
Democratic Party who
Yep,
will parrot some of these
wishy-washy.
talking points? I mean, certainly I do
Wishy-washy.
think so. Well, I was just going to say that
Wishy-washy.
I think so,
Wishy-washy.
right? But when we look at
Wishy-washy.
take Joe Biden
Look
as a
at the
perfect example.
DNC. Look
Well,
at the
no,
DNC.
Tally, give
They
me one
just kicked
second.
out David Hogg because they had to
Yeah.
like realign with their new
Well, I was just
gender
going to say,
requirements.
take Joe. Biden as, and I think that's
There he goes.
a misleading understanding of that.
There I
I
go.
was going to say, oh, Hutch,
Am I okay?
Yeah,
I'm
we
okay.
can hear
You're
you.
good, you're
Yeah,
good,
are
you're
we
good.
bro. You're
Okay,
good,
okay.
man. Yeah.
He blamed
Uh-oh.
me. It was him
but-
the whole time.
But
Cut out
hold on,
California
Holly just
internet.
said something really important, right? Like something.
no, she
that we've
didn't.
been
I
trying to
didn't
get
even
these.
finish.
Hold on,
Okay.
go ahead.
No,
Liz.
go for
Your
it.
show. Go ahead.
Okay, well, I was just going to say that I think Joe Biden is a good example of this, right? That, during the summer of love, when we had all these riots going on, all these protests and stuff, like this was at the same time that there were a lot of Democratic movement of like defund the police and stuff like that. You got Joe Biden out there saying we're not going to defund the police. He was the nominee of the Democrats. He, to my understanding, he didn't defund the police.
More importantly, they didn't. More importantly, they didn't.
Yeah.
To Econoboy's point, legislation like the American Rescue Plan expanded resources and funding.
Yeah,
funded
in the
the
summer of
shit out of the
2020,
police,
in the summer of
$100 million.
2021, I was one of the people saying that defund the police doesn't go far enough. We need to abolish the police.
Yeah.
Those were the signs that I was.
No, I get that,
carrying out.
Tally. I get that. I'm just saying.
So
Joe
I
Biden
wasn't-
was the
I
most
wasn't-
recent.
yeah.
Yeah, Joe Biden was the most recent democratically elected Democratic nominee. After that, we had Kamala Harris, who all of the Biden delegates voted for Kamala unanimously. And to me, look, I mean, again, there were some people on the far left that hated Kamala Harris, whatever, but she was getting huge rallies. There was a lot of enthusiasm behind her campaign. It turned out not to be enough. When you look at the polling, for instance, like socialists, people who identify as socialists, 95% of those people voted for Kamala Harris. Like, I just don't find a sufficient reason to say, well, I had some moderating opinions on social issues and activist spaces really turned me off. And so that's a reason why I voted for Trump. To the extent that we care about racism, bigotry, a colorblind approach, I don't think voting for the guy that made and I will say Nazi, his deputy chief of staff, Stephen.
Why is Econoboy spitting right now? This is unacceptable. Why is Econoboy doing this right now? Oh my god.
Miller. I
Miller's
just
Jewish.
I
Stephen
don't.
Miller's Jewish. Wait,
I don't.
Econoboy,
No,
can I
no,
just-
stop. Please go. Shut the fuck up. Okay, shut the hell up.
When Econoboy is the voice of reason, all is lost. Okay. When Econoboy, the mentally deficient, okay, downy retard, okay, is the voice of reason, all is lost. It's over.
Okay,
dude.
no. Oh, he's Jewish. He can't be a Nazi bigot. Sure, Pisco.
You
Sure.
could
No,
just
but
you
the
could
guy
use
hasn't
like
said-
you
guy
could
who
use
wants
lots
to
of other
denaturalize-
effective
Yeah,
words.
And Pisco,
but
I don't even know if historically. You
I don't know, but
disagree
you're
with that label,
presupposing that she's
Stephen
saying that
Miller.
her vote is rational. I mean, she's describing a story that I don't know. Do you think that your vote was rational, Tali? She's not saying that she had a rational reason.
There goes
Are you
Pisco.
saying-
I'm sorry, Tally. I just want to apologize.
hope-
Every time a
What are you
woman's in
doing?
chat, Pisco accuse her of being irrational. So I
Irrational.
apologize
No.
for that.
She's not saying
Fucking
that. It was,
unbelievable, bro.
no. But
Pisco,
you're
she won't
saying
No,
fuck
I
you.
agree.
the
I'm
reason
saying
to
very
she won't
vote,
fuck
she's
you.
it
not
wasn't a
Pisco, she won't
calculated.
fuck
Right,
you.
it was not a
Pisco,
calculated
she won't
policy
fuck you.
decision at
Pisco,
all.
she won't
She
fuck
said
you.
it was a
Pisco.
protest vote, which is to
Yes,
me.
so hold on.
When someone, if I could just finish, when someone says protest vote, I take that to mean that, like, for instance, the uncommitted movement, right? That was a protest decision, whether they voted for Trump or a third party or they decided not to vote. They said the logic that I'm employing is by withholding my vote from the Democratic Party, I'm hoping to push them further towards a certain direction, right? And that's, to me, a rational decision, even
that's
though
not
it's
what
a
protest
So
protest.
you're not talking to her
That's
though.
not
I
what-
mean, you're not
that's
talking to
not
those
what
people. You're talking
protest
to
votes
Tali.
are.
I'm using.
Hold
Pisco,
on,
I'm using
but
that as
to
an
be fair,
example.
to be fair,
Okay.
that was that
That's all I'm asking.
was in a non-organized way, right? As in, I wasn't part of a
Is Figo
movement
single?
or
Good
going
question.
green or
Let's
something
find
like
out.
this. That was essentially my rationale. Was like, I want the Democrats to have a really big wake-up call. You know, like
You
if
wanted
this
them to
goes the
lose.
way that I think it's going, and I thought he
Because you
was
didn't like
gonna, I thought he was gonna win, and that was. I had never been right about an outcome, about an election outcome that Trump had run in before. So I thought he was going to win. And I was just like, if this does happen, I want a message to land on the Democrats that
What did you hope the
something is
Democrats would
wrong.
learn from this? How do you think that they should change? Because this is sending me, right? You guys, it's maybe I speak disaffected liberal, and you guys.
Oh
Don't. I
my
don't
dude,
know.
get me
But
out,
when
get me
someone
out.
says that they're
No.
protest vote, it's
Oh my
not.
god, please. Oh my god, I can't do it. Dude, I can't stand Wick and White Knighting. I can't stand Wick White Knighting, okay? I can't do it. Okay, oh my god, there better be something else that's good in this one because I'm literally about to lose it. I don't know if I can handle this.
Not
Literally.
because they want to push someone in a different direction. The protest vote is I don't like the Democrats. I'm going to protest against them by voting for the other guy. So it's not so much that she voted for Trump, it's she voted against the Democrats, right? At least that's what I understand from the talks we have had. So my question, though, for you, Tali, is what do you hope that the Democrats will learn from this?
Wick,
How do you want them to
Wick,
change? Because you've
die.
talked to me
It's
before
time to
about you're
die,
a
Wick.
winnable
Wick,
voter.
your death
And
has
let's
come.
just get to the brass
Wick,
tacks of this, right?
Wick.
Instead of circling around it, what
What
would
even
the
is the point of this
Democrats
conversation?
need
I
to
don't
do?
fucking
What policy
know. I
positions
literally
or
don't fucking
vibes
know.
or the way they treat others,
What a
the
scuff
culture
fucking...
around it? What needs to change to get you to come back to the Democratic Party?
Well, again, not to burst your bubble, but what I said at
Wait a second. So she doesn't regret her vote? Tally, if you're watching this, get out of my audience. You're no longer welcome here. Get out of my audience immediately. Go. Get out. The level of intellectualism in my streams is too high for you. It's too high. Okay. Get out. Get out now.
the top of the show is something that I have been thinking about lately. Is like, I don't know that
So if
the
there's nothing you
Democrat.
can do, that if there's nothing we can do, that's an answer, right? And you can say that answer, right?
It's
That's
not that there's nothing the
perfectly fine.
Democratic Party could do. Basically, essentially,
waste of
so
time.
because I don't feel really motivated by either party, you know, I'm
Oh my
disaffected, disillusioned
God.
to a certain extent.
I don't know if I can
I don't
handle-
feel like all
I
that
don't know.
much
I'm
changes
sorry.
materially in my life between these administrations, which was something that comforted me throughout the Trump years, that we have a big bureaucracy basically, and fortunately and unfortunately, administrations kind of yo-yo back and forth. And so, I mean, I could vote. I see myself voting for the left. The first thing that I see myself voting for the left, the reason motivating that would be the concern that I have about the fringes on the right, basically.
Okay,
So like now that I'm
basically,
spending more
whichever side
time
is
in
worse,
right
you'll
wing.
vote against them. Is that kind of your motivation?
Yeah.
Whatever side you
Yes,
feel
because I'm
as
not highly
worst,
motivated
whatever you
toward
mean by
either side.
worse is the side you'll vote against. And rather
Yeah,
than voting for something, you're voting against something. I think this happens a lot, right? So you're not the first
Yeah.
person I've heard that.
Wick. Shut the fuck up. Wick. Shut the fuck up, Wick. Wick. Stop fucking sweeping for her. You know in your heart of heart, okay, that she is responsible. Okay? You know in your heart of heart that she is evil. Like she is a practicer of scumbaggery and villainy. Okay? She is a practicer of scumbaggery and villainy, and you are covering for her. Stop this immediately. She voted for Trump, and she doesn't even regret her vote for Trump. Despite everything that's happened, she doesn't regret voting for Trump, and she's not affected by the policies enough to even care. This is not somebody you can reach. This is not somebody you can reach. Okay? Wick, stop letting women change your decisions. Okay? Aristocracy, Lavloon, Pixie. Okay, stop letting women color the way that you see the world. Okay? Alright, I know you're ex-military, so you probably have some brain damage. Okay? But this is not it. Alright?
It says something like this, right? You're not the first person I've talked to that says, well, I don't really care about Trump or anything, but I the Democrats can't win because X, Y, or Z, right? Or the Democrats were mean to me, so X, Y, and Z, I'm going to vote against them. So I'm going to stay home and things like that. So I guess like what are
Wick,
you
you're
voted? You're
disgusting.
saying these fringe and
Wick,
extremes,
you're
right?
fucking disgusting. You're a piece of shit.
What do you mean?
That's what you are, Wick. Wick, you are
On the right?
disgusting. You're a
Yeah,
piece
what
of
do you mean?
shit, and you
Be
need to
specific,
die.
please.
You need to
Sure.
die
So,
immediately.
so
Okay, your death is foretold. Okay,
when I say
your
like
death is
vibes,
nigh.
right?
Your
And I'm talking
demise is
about
nigh.
cultural vibes, and
You mentioned
what
Dave
I s-
Smith. Are you talking about the Dave Smith types, the woke right types? What
That's
are you
too
talking
much.
about? Like, you
Shush.
don't have to
Yeah.
talk about
Let me
vibes, you don't have to
meme.
go in circles. You can just tell me.
In Minecraft, yes, in
Sorry,
Minecraft,
sure.
in Minecraft. Sorry, in
Um,
Minecraft.
Yeah, I mean,
In Minecraft, in
I'm
Minecraft, okay, in
concerned
Minecraft.
about
Uh-huh,
Tucker
yep.
Carlson. I'm
Okay.
concerned about Candace Owens. I'm concerned about Dave Smith. I'm concerned about Daryl Cooper. I'm concerned about the apparatus of people who I think they're well-meaning people caught up in
Okay,
that group.
the through line there is anti-Zionism, anti-Israel position. I know that that's not why you didn't vote, and I believe you when you say that. But that is the through line. And when you
I
talk
don't
about
see the
extremism,
through
like,
line. No, I see
You don't?
anti-Americanism. I see historical revisionism as the through line there. I see
Holocaust denial.
I see tendency toward fascism in yeah.
And that is why. Oh, don't tell me I also called Dave Smith. Please don't tell me I literally called Dave Smith too. Why she doesn't like Dave Smith, even though she should like him. Please don't tell me I'm actually correct on this one, because I will lose it. Like, I will actually... I will actually lose it. Like, I don't know if I can handle. I don't think I can handle being correct again, okay? I can only be correct so much, okay?
Yeah, Holocaust denial.
which you
across
don't
the
see,
board
which you
there.
don't see in Trump. I mean, really, think about it. Which you don't see in Trump.
So I not to
terms of
not
his-
to
yeah, go
not
for
to hitch hutch to this claim, but kind of what Trump was saying in the beginning, where that he like believes Trump when he says he doesn't intend to cut Medicaid. I don't think Trump is ideological. I think like
Wow, so you don't care about whether or not poor people get health care. Good for you, okay? Good for you up in your little ivory tower where you have nothing to worry about, where you have everything paid for by you, by your nepo parents, you fucking nepo baby. Like, that's it, isn't it? Isn't it? You have enough money to pay for everything. You don't care about what all the peasants think. You don't care about how people suffer, okay? You are just happy with your fucking married life and your fucking Trump vote that you're not willing to take back, you piece of shit. At least Richard Hanania was more than happy to say, yeah, I regret voting for Trump and I was stupid, okay? That's why I respect Richard Hanania, but not you. I do not respect you. You are evil. You're unadulterated evil, and Wick TV is an enabler of evil, okay? Wick TV is an enabler of evil. He is like a main villain's a fucking side chick, okay? That's literally what he is, okay? He's perpetually in the cuck chair of villainous woman, okay? That's what you are. You will be nothing more. You're like ant. You're literally a piece of dirt, okay? You are a fucking summer leaf, okay? You are a Down syndrome version of a vegetable. And that doesn't even exist in reality, but we have to come up with a new term because scientists are perplexed by how, extravagantly simpish and stupid your perpetual existence continues to be, because there is a brain tumor that is the size of a soccer ball inside of your brain because you are so much of a dumbass. You are one of the worst fucking people in the fucking earth, and I actively fucking despise you. You are worse than Trump. You are worse than Elon Musk. Why? Because you are ugly, okay? You're a man and you're ugly, okay? And furthermore, at least Elon Musk got like hair transplant surgery. You can't even get hair transplant surgery, you piece of shit. You absolute fucking knockoff. You absolute fucking wanker, okay? You absolute cunt, okay?
I sort of believe the notion that came out of the first administration, which is he kind of listens to the last person in the room, and that's not a stable.
But the administration is
way to
ideological. I mean,
run
you want to talk
things.
about fascism, you want to talk about
Sure, yeah.
authoritarianism. Like, you must recognize. I mean, we just have a lawsuit from Kilmar Berger Garcia where he's detailing what happened on his way to Sikhat, where he's being tortured. He's being tortured, and for weeks the administration
You think she cares about brown people getting tortured? I don't fucking think so. Do you know why? Because they're brown, okay? They have too much melanin. That's fucking why, okay? She cares about anybody who is just white enough to pass for her, okay? This fucking degenerate, absolute fucking, no, wretched, okay? Putrid, okay? This putridness has to end now, okay? That's
Administration's
what it
official
is.
policy was basically to demean this person and to ignore the law. So I mean,
Yeah,
you must
concerns me
acknowledge that-
greatly.
I mean,
Yes.
it concerns you greatly, but it
Yes.
doesn't raise the same kind of fascism concerns that, like, I don't know, Dave Smith. I mean, Dave Smith strikes you as more of a fascist than what you what I just
Tucker
described.
Carlson, Daryl.
What?
Ari, thank you so much for the 5 gifted memberships. Okay, thank you so much. You're unable to quell my rage with money, but you're trying your best, and I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Okay. Sorry, you told another creator to kill themselves? Let me clip that. Yeah, and you know what you should do? You should also neck yourself. Okay, goodbye. Farewell.
Cooper. So
Go to home.
quick point.
Go to Home Depot right now, buy the nearest rope, and buy a lamppost, okay? The world would do better without you, okay? Anyway, you guys are great, okay? The rest of my viewers are great. You guys are lovely. I hope you guys do not kill yourselves because I love you guys, okay? Thank you. Also, thank you, Ari. I appreciate that. Anyway.
Point out Dave Smith, and Dave Smith again is like is that center. He's like the middle of the horseshoe that kind of brings together the left wing people who kind of fall into that space and the right wing people who fall into that space. He's somewhat of a separate
through
case
line
here.
among these various different thinkers that you're thinking who you say represent the fringes of the Republican Party. By the way, I agree with you, actually. I think that they are the fringe in the sense that they are not the and we've talked about this too, and I think we talked about with Conboy and Josiah, that the majority of the party probably isn't represented by the Tuckers of the world. But you mentioned them, the through lines of the speakers that you mentioned of the extremes are like fascism and like historical revisionism. This is the raison d'etre, I think, of the current administration, which is represented by like the actual government officials.
Right, and I just want to piggyback off that, and by saying I agree that Trump is not a particularly deep thinker. He's not particularly well read. He's not a fascist ideologically in the sense that he's not staying up all night reading Giovanni Gentile or anything like that. But he deeply believes and embodies some of the worst elements of fascism, like being at the center of a cult of personality, wanting to maximize power, wanting to crush dissent in ways we've simply never seen, certainly from the Democratic Party, but even from the pre-Trump Republican Party. So I don't think I would encourage you to look at it as you shouldn't give him any points by simply saying, oh, he's kind of a blank slate and kind of a doofus, right? Because it is precisely because of his personality defects and deficits that we are in this situation. And he is influenced by more philosophically ingrained, smarter fascists and authoritarians, like, again, the Stephen Millers, for example. I think that there is this reflex among Trump voters, and you seem to imply it there, maybe you don't believe it, to absolve Trump of this. But this...
By the way, this might sound a little crazy. I'm an advocate for peace and love, okay, except to my enemies, okay? The good thing, the good deal, the good thing is that, getting rid of yourself is cost effective, okay? To my enemies, getting rid of yourself is cost effective, okay? It's so easy to do, all right? In Minecraft. You just have to go into Minecraft, okay, find the nearest rope in Minecraft, okay, get onto a bed in Minecraft, okay, build a little blocks up and hang the rope, okay, in Minecraft. It's pretty efficient, okay?
Would not work without him. He is the primary cause of it, and this is a very authoritarian second administration so far, quite frankly, not just for the reasons Pisco provided, but that Wick did at the beginning during his intro, talking about the First Amendment violations that we've never seen from the Democratic Party or anything else.
Hey, I mean, so if we want to talk about transformational texts and things that I read along my journey, The Coddling of the American Mind by Jonathan Haidt and Greg Lukianoff was extremely impactful for me, and it really reflective of what I see as sort of real issues in our culture, and that's why it's like easy to say, oh, vibes, and like minimize it. But when we're talking about the coddling of the American mind and the way that this is influencing people's mental health and how that's influencing their physical health and all of these things, I see as interconnected and things that I am really concerned about, basically.
Vitali, you say
But so,
vibes,
yes,
right? So we're not
I say
dismissing it as vibes. Yeah, you say vibes.
No. Right. I say vibes, but that's where I was about to get into a tangent and Wick cut me off, which is fair enough. But I say
bad.
vibes in the way that like there are some kind of like schizo people on YouTube who talk about vibes, and it's not just like they're talking about a different type of analysis, cultural analysis. It's not just like this is how I feel today and I didn't eat breakfast. And I feel like that's sometimes the way that you guys talk about it, and that's fine. And some people I guess probably do vote that way, but I am talking a little like yeah.
And has
I
the
don't
culture
know,
gotten
whatever.
better? I mean, like, so you say, you know, you're looking at it from a different mode of analysis. I feel like the culture's gotten worse. So to get a Hutch's question, do you regret your vote?
I'm not happy with the way things are going. It seems I have a few things to say about regret. Number one,
No, you don't regret your vote. Okay, you don't fucking regret your vote. This does not. If you regret your vote, that would have been the first thing you said. That would have been the first thing. Every single Trump voter who has regretted their vote, it is the first thing they say. It is literally the first thing they say. You do not regret your vote. I don't even know why this question is being asked, because she clearly doesn't regret her vote. Okay, like that's really about it.
my vote didn't elect Trump.
Yeah, I know,
Yeah,
but
I don't care.
Like, you can
I
still
literally
feel
don't
a sense
care.
of personal
I'm sorry.
responsibility in that.
I'm sorry.
Even if you acknowledge the